Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have a story to tell you today. This past week, a few of my friends and I, once a year, we go to Ocean City, Maryland, just to get away, spend a few days on the beach. We do devotions every evening. We pray for one another. We have our own church service on Sunday morning in front of the ocean on this beautiful porch of this grand hotel. We had the most perfect weather this time. It was just beautiful. And I have a story about that time on the beach that really spoke to my heart. And as soon as we were I was out of the water thinking about it, immediately the Lord spoke a word and a message into my spirit. So this story, or this message today, is called Holding Momma Up. Holding Momma Up. Now, my natural mother died in 1999, but Mark 29 declares that those who have given up mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers, houses and lands in this age, or for the cause of Christ, will receive that back in this age and the age to come. And when I left Baltimore in 1988, I walked away from my family and my sisters and everything I knew, and I left everything behind, came here to West Virginia, only knowing two people. But God had a purpose and a plan for my life, which included my being here for the next almost 26 years. Well, in that Mark 29 passage, the promise of other family members God has brought and manifested in my life. And there's a woman that I call Momma. She and her husband, who 2 years ago, he died 2 years ago, adopted me one day. It was just the craziest circumstance, but God put us together. And they called me daughter. I called them Mama and Papa from the very beginning. Well, Mama went with us. She is not in any way an old Mama. She's a very spry, intelligent, beautiful, young at heart Mama who carries on with the rest of us. We all went to the beach and we were in the water, and Mama wanted to come in. So one of my other friends brought her into the water. Now the waves were not high, but we brought her pretty far out into the ocean, further than she had been previously. Well, she was a little unsteady with the undercurrent, with the undertow, with the size of the waves a little bit. So every time a big wave would come by, my friend and I would hold her hand and we would kind of lift her up through the waves so that she wouldn't fall. Now there were a couple of waves where we completely were drenched and just completely pulled over by the wave. But Mama never got wet. Mama never lost her footing. She never fell. See, last year she went out and she took this tumble. I wish I could have showed you the picture, because she took this fall, and another one of our friends was trying to lift her up and pull her out, and then she would fall, and it was like watching Lucy and Ethel try to get out of the ocean. It was so funny. But I think that kind of made her a little cautious this summer. So we brought her out and she did great. She loved it and cackled and smiled. But when we came out of the ocean, God spoke to me and said, that's a beautiful picture of how we are supposed to take care of one another by holding Mama up. You see, we took the brunt of the waves. My friend and I, we took the brunt of what was coming. We went under the water, but we were able to hold Mama up. And that was the picture, or is the picture, that I want to share with you today. So, holding Mama up, here it comes. While I was in California once, I had toured the beautiful sequoias, and I remarked at how beautiful and strong they seemed. And the guide pointed out, and I wrote it down to make sure I had the story right, and the guide pointed out that the sequoia tree just has roots barely below the surface. These huge, tall trees had roots just barely below the surface. And I said, that's impossible, because if a storm would come, certainly all of these trees would come toppling down. But he said that the sequoia trees are not like that. They grow only in groves, or they grow in groups together, and their roots intertwine under the trees, so that when the strong winds come, they hold each other up. Again, God brought that picture back to me about roots being intertwined underneath. And if the roots are held together, then when the winds come, the tree doesn't fall because it's held by other roots. And that's, again, a picture that God gave me about holding Mama up. You see, we were rooted underneath the water. We had roots that were entwined together. Roots of love, roots of family, roots of fellowship, roots of God, whatever you want to call it. We had roots. And when the waves came, we were rooted and grounded so that Mama didn't fall. So this is where I started, was Exodus 17, verse 12. You know this story. And it's the beautiful picture of holding someone up. But Moses' hands became heavy. Now, I know you know the story. And so they took a stone and they put it under him, and he sat on it. So get the picture. First, Moses was standing up and he had his arms up. The first thing his friends did was put a rock under him so that he sat down. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands on one side and then on the other, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. So it says that Aaron and Hur supported Moses' hands, one on one side, one on the other, and they supported Moses' hands. As long as Moses' hands were supported and up, Joshua was winning the battle. But if Moses dropped his hands, the tide of the battle would turn, and Joshua and Israel would begin to lose the battle. So it was critical to leave Moses' hands up in the air. It says that Aaron and Hur supported. Now that word support means to follow close, or to help, or to take up. In other words, you can't support someone from a distance. You can't just glibly or tritefully say, yeah, I got your back, or yeah, I'll be praying for you, or yeah, if I have time, I'll come to you. There are times when you have to get your hands on the person to support them. Yes, we can support with prayer from a distance. Prayer is eternal and it's omnipresent. It's everywhere. But sometimes, like we had to have our hands on Mama. We couldn't say to her, hey, we'll be with you. We'll be here should you begin to fall. That didn't give her security. Security was we held her so that she would know that she wouldn't be tossed by the waves. And so to support, you have to be there. And says to maintain, or to stay, or to retain hands on one side, then the other. And it says that his hands were steady. That word steady means firm, secure, stable. And so we understand that when we are supporting when we're holding each other up, we're giving them a firm and stable foundation on which to stand. When all the storms are going on around them, we can give our friends, our brothers and sisters, a firm foundation. Aaron and Hur held up Moses' hands when he couldn't keep them up. Even for 1 minute, even for one more minute when he couldn't keep them up, they did it. They didn't just do an okay job for Moses. His arms were steady. This is amazing friendship that they held his arms for the entire battle. How do you think their arms felt after the battle? Can you imagine holding up someone's arms with your arms hour after hour, moment by moment, holding it? You don't have anything, you're not holding like this. These two men were using all of their strength and all of their muscle, all of their power to hold up someone else, to the sacrifice of their own strength and their own might and their own tired arms. I can just see the picture when the battle was over and they finally let go of Moses' arms, that both Aaron and Hur went like, ow, oh boy, that just hurt. I mean, that's just a stretch because they'd held them for so long. Solomon also talks about the benefit of having someone with you. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 12. two are better than one, because they have good reward for their labor. For if one fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Again, if two lie down together, they'll keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, two can withstand him, and the threefold cord is not quickly broken. That third part of the cord we know is Jesus. But here Solomon is showing us and painting us a picture of a cord. Now, two cords is very powerful. One cord alone can break fairly simply and easily. A double cord, little more difficult to break apart. A three cord twine together is so strong. And God is showing us that, yes, we can hold up one another, but if we try to do it in our own strength, we'll just get tired. You see, I don't believe Aaron and Hur were holding up Moses in their own strength. I believe they were calling upon the name of the Lord and asking God to help them hold Moses' arms. And I believe that when they finished, though they did this, they weren't hurting. They were stretching, but they weren't tired. And I bet you that they were able to hold Moses up another day if they had to. Because that's what God promises. That one alone won't work. Two alone, powerful. Three together, amazing strength. And I think that Moses, Aaron, and Hur is a picture of that threefold cord. Three, not just two, but three were together. Now, Jesus also made it indelibly clear in the metaphors of Matthew chapter 6. And there's a lot of verses, especially through 19 through 24, about a man's heart. Now, this may sound funny, but let me link it all together. It says that whatever's in a man's heart, that's his treasure. What a man has in his heart is what he treasures the most. And what he treasures depends on his perspective or insight on how to live. You see, the treasure of my heart when we were at Ocean City was my mama. That was my treasure. My treasure wasn't my hair or my going under or taking in salt water or not taking in salt water. My treasure wasn't not getting wet or wanting to just be whatever. My treasure in my heart was Mama. And I would do anything to protect Mama. In fact, we have a long running joke. She has two natural daughters. And in the recent weeks, on one daughter's watch, she fell. On the other daughter's watch, she cut her finger and required stitches. And I was making this declaration that I was not going to let Mama go down on my watch. And now the other two sisters are just giggling away with this. And they're so grateful that they have someone here to take care of Mama. But I was determined not to let her go down on my watch. You see, that's the treasure of my heart. Where your treasure is, there your heart is also. And if my treasure is wanting to take care of people, then that's where my heart is. If my heart is crying out to lift somebody up, then I'm treasuring those people. You see how that cycles in and out for us? That if I'm treasuring my own life, my own will, my own purposes, my own desires, that's where my heart is. That I'm treasuring myself in my heart, and I never want to do that. There are times where we all are selfish, and I battle through that sometimes, wanting it to go my way, or wanting people to take care of me. I'm fiercely independent, but I still have moments where I want people to care for me. Not so much to the selfishness that I don't want to take care of them. But then there are times where I know that other people need me and I just don't want to, I'm tired, or I've been with people for a long time and I just want to be with me. And that's where God is pushing me through to reveal to me what the treasure of my heart is. See, the treasure, where my heart is the goodness of other folks and not myself. In our relationships, we want others to sacrifice for us. We do. But it seems so hard to respond in like that we would sacrifice ourselves for them. We all want people to pay attention to us or care for us or to sacrifice or to set down their wills and their desires or their wishes for us. But are we so quick to respond in like form? Or are we more quick to receive that and just sit in that for a while? You see, where the heart is, there's the treasure. I asked myself a couple of questions, and I said, how far would I go to help someone I loved? I answered, I believe I'd go as far as they would ever need me to go. Right answer. How far would I go to help a friend? Oh, I would go to any length to help a friend. I really would lay my life down. But then I asked this, how far would I go to help someone that was hard to love? Ooh, that's a tough question. Would I want to hold up someone else? You know what? I can think back when I was in that ocean, and I believe that if there was someone else who was struggling, I would run out to that person and I would hold them up. I just feel that in my spirit that I would just be able to answer yes. Because I wouldn't want anyone to go under the water. I wouldn't want anyone to suffer when I can just go ahead and go under and come right back up and bob up and be fun because I love the water. And so I can answer that question, but how do you answer those questions? How far would you go to hold up Mama? How far would you go to hold up a family member or to raise up a loved one or a friend? How far would you go to encourage someone and hold up someone who was harder to love? In Moses' case, he was totally exhausted, and needed someone to keep his arms raised. In these accounts, in Moses and in Ecclesiastes, these friends gave up time and energy for one another. You remember the story that Jesus told about the paralytic who was lifted down or lowered down through the roof? His 4 friends climbed up on a roof to their own peril of safety. And they opened up the roof to let this man down. They gave up time and energy for the sake of helping someone they loved. So just what is self-sacrifice? I looked it up. I have my own definitions, but I looked it up in a couple Bible dictionaries, and let me tell you what they said. It is the willingness to leave one's possessions, that's the easy one, or to give them to others. Most of us are okay with that. But here it says it also means to deny oneself to the point of death, or to give oneself in the service of God or other people. Self-sacrifice is forfeiting your present comfort for the sake of others. Forfeiting present comfort for the sake of others. Before I was out in the water with Mama, this friend of mine was out in the water a short way and was holding Mama's hand. We were watching from the sand, from the beach. And we remarked how adorable it was that they were just she was taking care of Mama out there. And when they came back in and we thought, oh, that was so cute. Well, when I went back out there and they came out following, that was a sense of trust that had been built up in those two that Mama wanted to come further and deeper into the ocean. You see, when you have helped someone in just a small crisis, then when something bigger happens, that person trusts you and believes that you will be there for them. You start small. It's hard to just rush out into a huge, crazy, big mess. You have to build up trust and build up trust. And you just take Mama out slowly, and then she comes out a little further and then a little further. You see, that's what it means to build someone up or to hold someone up. That you take them a small distance or you help them through a little thing. And then when there's something else happens, you take them through the big thing. And then when a catastrophic event occurs, they run to you because you can be trusted, because you have held them up before. I have tried to run to people in times of my life who have not held me up. They weren't prepared. They didn't want to. They didn't know how to. And I learned early on to just put people around me that I knew who would hold me up. To hold me up. That was so critical for me to understand that not everyone is willing or wants to do it. But we were willing to let Mama have this great time. So I'm sure that if we sat here long enough and talked long enough, we can think of at least one person who is sick, weary, or in need of a ride, or simply needs a cake given to them, or a meal. We can think of someone who has a need, someone that we can hold up until they're through with the undercurrents and the riptides of life, right? So, I have had times when I've been physically and emotionally and spiritually drained. How about you? You've been there? I've been there. I've had times where I felt like I could go no further in these tough situations that we're in sometimes. But I've learned that by going to God, that He would always put friends or family or loved ones in my life to hold me up. And I have some powerful friends who will do that. I've not had to deal with anything on my own by choice. Now, sometimes I want to deal with things on my own. But when I'm going through something, I have not had to deal with anything on my own as long as I am conscious of the presence of God. And I'm waiting for His blessing to bring someone to me, or for me to go to someone to hold me up. I've always been blessed with people surrounding me. And like Moses, they have held up my arms in the air so that I can prevail. How powerful to have someone around that you can prevail in the storms of life. No matter what you're going through, allow someone to hold you. You don't have to go through the struggles alone. You do not have to do it alone. If you find that you have no one around you, call Brushstroke. Call us. We will be your Aaron and Hur. We will raise up your arms. We will hold your arms up through the storm. We will pray you through the storm. We will hook into your roots like the sequoia trees and intertwine our roots with yours so that you do not topple or fall when a storm comes. Call us at Brushstroke. Get on the website, send us a message, send us a prayer request and say, I need you to hold up my arms, and we will honor God by doing that for you. Amen. Go to God and let the people God has put in your life hold you up. It's time that we hold up more than just our own arms or the arms of the 2 or 3 that are closest to us. It's time that we hold up the arms in the kingdom. You see, we're getting ready for that battle, that final battle. In the end, we're in the last days, and God is raising up an army. He's already raising it up, and we're already here. And we're going to need to hold each other's arms up during this battle. And just like Joshua, as long as our arms are held up, now understand this is a beautiful picture of what praise does. Praise is a powerful, powerful weapon. Powerful weapon. And when we're able to help someone else praise and worship when it feels like they can't, that is when the enemy flees, because God inhabits the praises of His people. And we want to be the ones to help you, and we want you to be the ones to help us. So 1 John 3:16, John 3:16 says that, Jesus gave up His life, and whoever comes to Him, believes in Him, will have everlasting life, right? We know that verse, John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, and whoever believes in Him will have everlasting life. Well, 1 John 3:16 is not about Jesus giving up His life for us. 1 John 3:16 is about us giving up our lives for others. Let me read it to you. By this we know love. If you want to know what love is all about, here it is. Because He laid down His life for us, and we also ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. John 3:16, Jesus lays down His life. 1 John 3:16, we lay down ours. That's no coincidence. God did that on purpose in His Word. Hold up, Mama. There is a mama in your life who needs you. There is someone who wants to walk out into deeper places, and they need you. There's someone who has an unsure footing, and they need you. There's someone who's finding it hard to praise right now, and they need you. There is someone out there who wants to be able to just embrace life, but they're a little scared, and they need you. Hold someone up today. Hold their arms, because that's what it's like, and that's what it means to be in the kingdom and be in the body, and to be there and encourage one another. Amen? Amen. What a great, great witness that was at the beach. Listen, God is painting a picture of your life. It is a beautiful life. You have a beautiful life in God. And He's painting a picture of your life with His, one precious brushstroke at a time. God bless you.
Introducing the new Zulon Press book, In Moments Like These, Volume 2, by Jenny Pfister. In Moments Like These, Volume 2 is available at Christian bookstores and online. Purchase it today.